Hey everyone, welcome to another video, and this time just heading to the big finale of the MCU 10-year project. We are going to see Endgame soon, and to talk about it, about every theory, everything that's going down, the trailers and all that stuff before that, I have a guest with me. So this is Thomas. I know him from Ken Knapsack's Discord, and he's also a great fan of Marvel and the MCU. Hey Thomas, thank you for being here.
Hey David, thank you very much for having me. I am certainly a big fan of the MCU and Marvel in general.
Yeah, so tell the people where they can find you, because I know you have something to where you talk about a lot of geek stuff that I also touch in this channel.
Wonderful. You can find me on Ruminations podcast. That's on Anchor or virtually wherever you can find your podcast, Stitcher, iTunes, Google, you name it. I'm also on Ruminations from the Realm on Casterly Talk, which is a weekly show about Game of Thrones that Ken Knapsack, Rachel Cushing, Lon Harris, and Ace Cabrera are involved in. Andreas Cabrera.
Yeah, that's a great show. You should check it out if you haven't, and if you like those topics, I think you are going to have a great time with those people. So let's get down to it. We have like a list of points to touch, but let's just start with the huge amount of content, of trailers, sneak peeks, and everything that they have like showed us, like in opposing to something like, say, Star Wars, which could be like a franchise comparable to that one.
Yep.
So I think that normally they don't show that much for their movies before the launch day. So what do you think about that? Is there a reason? It's just hype, or is misdirection?
I think it's a little bit of all of those. I think they're trying to encourage the hype to keep going, and they're also trying to show us enough to keep the hype going, but not actually show us any plot content or story content. They're really only giving us small beats of the story that could be placed almost anywhere within the film.
Yeah.
So, I mean, despite this mass release of all of these trailers and TV spots, which all have been phenomenal, it could really not show us anything. We could be seeing, all in all, maybe a few minutes of the film.
It's true, and it's funny because I was watching Infinity War yesterday with a friend, and he mentioned that practically everyone, when they saw the scene of all the Avengers that are still alive going with the same like armor, like white suits.
Yeah, the quantum realm.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Everyone thinks, and I think logically, that they are going, to go to the quantum realm. But my friend has this theory that they are gearing up to fight Thanos, to go and meet Thanos before that. They are going to defeat Thanos before they steal the time stone or the gauntlet, because I think I don't know if it is in a sneak peek or in Captain Marvel's like post-credit scene that they mentioned that they could use again the gauntlet, or am I imagining things?
I can't remember where that's mentioned, but I do remember hearing something like that.
They do.
That it is possible to use the same thing again.
So if they want to use the gauntlet, they should like take it from Thanos.
Yeah.
And it's clear that they are going to the planet where he is resting with the Scarecrow and everything.
Which I think we can assume is Titan, right?
I don't know, because Titan is like destroyed.
It's kind of a wasteland. Yeah, it's kind of a wasteland. So he's off in some tropical paradise somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they will. I am a comic reader, but I don't remember where that specific scene with the Scarecrow happens, because in the comics that Scarecrow with the armor is kind of iconic, so that's why. I don't know if you have read that one.
I have, but to be honest, I actually can't remember exactly what book that comes from.
Yeah.
My comic collection is exceeding about 30 long boxes, so it's getting a little crazy.
Yeah, right. So that's the thing. I think they are going to defeat Thanos, and Thanos is not going to be like a great, or the Thanos we know, it's not going to be a great threat in this movie, or not the big bad guy like he was in the Infinity War.
there has to be something more. I agree. I've heard this kind of theory of the idea that they fight Thanos first, and then a
Yeah,
new bigger bad comes along, and for some reason Thanos has to reluctantly maybe not join forces, but fight against a common enemy. And I think that could be interesting if they don't join forces but end up fighting against a
yeah.
larger bad.
Uh, I don't see. I don't really see them joining forces because I truly think that there is no need of a big bad in this movie,
Okay.
because it's something that I think they did wrong in Civil War. Like
Yeah.
placing that,
Zemo.
giving the heroes a villain,
Yeah.
and a
I
villain
agree.
that like plot everything, because I think it would have been more interesting to focus on the conflict and the ideas clashing, and that would be enough to do the Civil War. But they had to put their Simo, and that only, I am talking about Civil War because I am going to talk about Endgame
Of
now.
course.
But I think that was a mistake, because the whole point of Civil War was to choose a side, and if you as an audience are going to choose a side, you are going to choose the one you think is right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by
Correct.
placing a villain that basically is manipulating one of the sides, you are saying that that side is wrong because he's being manipulated.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. So I guess my thing with Civil War is I agree. Zemo seemed very odd in that
Yeah,
movie. It was still enjoyable, but I agree it would have been more enjoyable had the villain not been such a central figure in the film.
exactly. Yeah,
And now that you say that, I'm very intrigued by the idea of Thanos being dealt with fairly early,
yeah,
and the movie going on to deal with the inner conflict within the Captain America and Iron Man and their respective teams from Civil War.
yeah.
And where do those people end up? Right?
Exactly. So it's not only they have to learn to work together again, because I don't think it is. I think this might be a little spoiler. I haven't heard anything from the movie itself, but these are just rumors and trailers. So if you don't want to like hear this, pause the video or mute the video. And I am going to do this when you can unmute. So the Russo brothers had kind of stated that the scene where Captain America and Iron Man shake hands is fake.
Okay.
That it's not going to be in the movie.
Okay.
So that makes me think that they are not going to have such an easy time working together again.
I agree. That seemed weird. It's the one thing in all of the trailers that stood out as very odd to me.
Yeah.
Was the idea that Cap and Tony can just come together again like that.
Yeah, and the thing is,
Tony at the beginning of Infinity War wouldn't even call the guy.
yeah, and why are you showing that in the trailer? Because that should be a key moment of the movie, a twist, if you will. And showing it in the trailer doesn't really make much sense in business perspective.
No, I agree. It would devalue the moment.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of leaning to the side where I don't know that we'll get a proper Cap and Tony reunion. There's a couple of shots that we see them together in, when they're wearing those similar suits. But I don't know that we're actually going to see them come to terms or an agreement. I think they may work together, but I don't know that we're going to see them shake hands and be like, okay, we can stand on the same side without any problems. I don't think we're going to see that.
On that, I don't know what to think, to be honest, because both situations seems likely to me. But the thing is that they are going to spend some time working to learn how to work together, and then they are going to go, or the theory is that they will go back in time to the Battle of New York. I think it's the most extended idea.
Okay.
To the Battle of New York, and in that moment is when they are going to, or when they are going to change all the events.
Oh, wow. So you think they're going to go way back?
Yeah, and create a new timeline.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so with the creation of a new timeline, do you think that happens from them going back? Or do you think that was from the moment Thanos actually did the snap? Do you think that was where the timeline was immediately separated? And this new timeline where half the people were taken
Well,
is where we're now?
if we are going to take in count the basics Marvel Comics has stated for the timelines before all that thing that they did in the comics that every, everyone
yeah.
blurred together. I think I don't remember the name, but I think they did something like that.
Yeah, I think that was the second Secret Wars, and then into all new, all different Marvel. I think that's
Yeah.
what we're.
It's funny you mentioned the second Secret Wars because I have something in the list that I have to mention about the first ones.
Okay.
So okay. Anyway, I think if we follow those rules, a timeline is created every time someone travels through time. So I think it's not going to be the snap, but it's going to be them going back and changing. And the movie itself, it's going to focus more on that travel because they are going to deal with Thanos, but a different one. You know?
Yeah, so you're thinking the Thanos that they deal with is not actually the same Thanos that committed the snap and built the gauntlet.
Yeah, I think the first Thanos, the Thanos we know, I think is going to be dealt with early, and then they are going to have all that, because there is no really a villain. Well, I mean, yeah, the Chitauri and all the villains we have seen before, and I think instead of closing the portal, they are going to go through it and, meet Thanos and try to. That's my bet.
I love that, David. That's amazing. That's my new favorite theory going into Endgame.
So yeah, that's my bet. That's what I would like to see.
And it would also explain again why Thanos in the trailer reappears with his full armor that I don't think we've seen that armor in full since that scene at the end of Avengers, have we? Or in Avengers.
True, yeah, right. He takes it off after he beats Hulk.
Yep.
And then that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Even though I don't like the armor much, I think it's weird.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
But I think his look while he was CGI in the post credits or Guardians was great.
Yep.
But the armor looks weird in Infinity War, and I think it was a wise decision to take it off because he's more intimidating.
I agree. And logistically, I'm sure it was probably much easier to have them like render and animate as well, because to have all those pieces of armor moving on top of a body that's all set up for motion capture would probably be much more expensive and difficult than just having Thanos in his kind of minimalistic armor and clothing.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and he doesn't really need it, to be honest.
True. Yeah, it's really pointless. It's there for show.
Okay, so I have a few things that you point out here. So we're going to start talking about the Asgardians that survived.
Yeah.
So the thing is, here's my thing. So Thanos wants to wipe out half of the universe with the snap, okay? But before that, he has been doing it, by hand, so to speak.
Manually, yep.
So the planets he has already wiped out are affected by the snap?
Ooh, that's a good question. So, because that would mean that he's gone already and manually eliminated half of the population, and when he snaps, then half of that population is gone again.
Exactly. So that if Thanos is all about balance, that shouldn't happen.
Agreed. Yeah, fully agree with you. Yeah. So we should have whatever Asgardians were left after the attack we see at the beginning of Infinity War. They should all still be alive.
Yeah, the Asgardians, Gamora's planet, Shandar, and all of those planets. So if we are taking the Asgardians in count, but I don't think they are going to show up in this one.
I gotta agree. I actually don't think they're going to. It's more of a hope, just because I think there is a chance that Valkyrie could be the person that picks up Tony and Nebula.
Maybe. I am not all about that because I don't like the character too much.
Okay.
So
is there any particular reason for that, or?
I don't like Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
Too much. So those, I just think it's a stand-up comedy movie.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. And I think Valkyrie could be a very interesting character, but she is dealt with wrongly because just like every character in Thor Ragnarok, she falls in that comedy thing.
Yeah, for sure. Her character was developed in a film that's heavily centered on comedy.
So that's, for me, and her backstory is dark.
Yeah, it is. Very
So
dark.
it doesn't really fit in that movie, if I am going to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do think there was a surprising amount of comedy in in Infinity War.
Yeah, but it was not the same.
Agreed. It's not the same style, and I think that's just attributed to direction and who's writing it.
Yeah, I mean, Taika Waititi is a great director. Okay, it's good, but his style was not
what you were looking for Ragnarok.
Yeah, and they are dealing with topics like, I mean, genocide and mass destruction and extinction, and
it's kind of glanced over in the destruction of it. Yeah.
So, and that's one of the things I am afraid, because I have heard Taika Waititi is going to direct 1 or 2 episodes of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I've read that as well.
So I don't think we need that much comedy or that style in that TV show.
Okay.
But we are talking about...
For The Mandalorian, though, I do agree. On that little side note, I do agree that it's a very curious choice for a director for those episodes. Okay,
we are talking about Marvel, though. So we are going to agree... I'm sorry, you guys know me. I can't stay too much without talking about Star Wars. So we are going to agree that the Asgardians are very unlikely to show up in this one.
Yeah, I think I'm okay to agree with that. I don't see them showing up. I still hope they might show up, but I really don't see it.
And besides, who else is left there in Asgard?
It's really Korg, Valkyrie, Meek, if you want to go there.
do we know if they are still alive? Because we only know Valkyrie is still alive. Because
we don't. You're right.
Because the Russo brothers said it. I'm not such a fan of the Russo brothers revealing information that
I agree.
Yeah. And it's canon,
If it's not in the trailer, I feel like the director probably shouldn't be telling us.
Yeah, but the Russos are...
It's their movie that they worked on for 6 months, so...
I mean, the Russos are like that, and I think they are the best directors Marvel has ever had. Yeah. So, I mean, they have to forgive those things.
Winter Soldier is probably my top Marvel movie. It's just a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's in my top 5 for sure. Yeah. And the action scenes in Civil War, the choreography there is just amazing. Even if the Civil War is not as good as Winter Soldier, the action choreographies are mind-blowing as well.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Cap deflecting the explosive with his shield. The end sequence when Bucky and Cap are fighting Iron Man and they're passing the shield back and forth. Phenomenal stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about one of my favorite characters of all the Avengers, Hawkeye.
Yeah.
I love Hawkeye. Honestly, I don't know why people... I think it's joking, but people mess with him too much.
Oh, I agree, man. Everybody just jumps on the idea of, well, he doesn't really have superpowers, so how can he hang with everybody else? And I'm like, he clearly has.
I mean, I honestly think he's more useful than Black Widow.
I would agree a lot of the time. Yeah, I would totally agree.
And people love her.
Well, I mean, look at the first Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Right? Hawkeye's sitting up on the corner of the building. I think in that one sequence when the camera pans across, he takes out like 8 Chitauri.
Yeah. I mean, people say that Black Widow beat him in like the fight. Yeah, but Hawkeye, it's not a hand-to-hand expert.
Yeah.
That's not his thing.
The ranged expert. Yeah.
So, okay, Hawkeye. I love the Ronin idea that it's more or less a fact now.
Yeah.
That he's become Ronin. Have you read anything about Ronin in the comics?
Well, I've never read the comic book where Hawkeye goes Ronin. But I do think there's a very specific situation, especially that's shown in the trailer. That scene with shows him teaching his daughter how to shoot. I feel like that's going to be the scene they show us where she disappears.
Yeah.
From the snap. And that's heartbreaking, right? I mean, that gives me chills just thinking about it. Could you imagine being a father?
It has to be.
Your child having one of those great memories with your child, building one of those great moments, and your child disappears in front of you.
It has
heartbreaking.
To be.
I can understand why he would fall into that idea of my wife and child are gone. What do I do? And he just flies off the handle. And I can get behind that, but I feel like there's got to be more to it than just that kind of basic observation that we can make.
I have to agree with you because Clint has always seemed like one of the most hearted characters of the Avengers.
I agree.
And I think that giving him a family just developed the character in a way that no other has.
I completely agree.
Because
and now that scene where we met his family is so much more impactful as we come back around to revisit it in Endgame. Now we're looking back going, oh my God, the scene that, and some people complained about that scene. I don't know if you remember that. There was a group of fans that really did not enjoy the Hawkeye's family scene. It was
but that's because they wanted him to end up with Black Widow.
Exactly, right? So, and instead, now we've got this wonderful layer to the character that's could possibly explain these drastic actions that he's taking.
Yeah. And am I the only one that thinks that Black Widow shouldn't end up with anything, with anyone?
I agree. I think she's just as a character, and this is not a negative, I think as a character, she's far too independent to attach her to a, whether it's a male or a female character, an alien character. She's far too independent, and as her own character could be much more important on her own than with someone.
And it's not necessary to, give everyone a love interest. I honestly think that the thing with Bruce, completely out of place, forced, and they have no chemistry at all.
I completely agree. Even the scene in Infinity War when he says, "Hey, Nat," and it's, they're trying to be like long lost friends that haven't seen each other, and it's kind of right over your head when you're watching it, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why they are still with that. I guess...
I feel like it's just something they started with the whole sun's getting low, like that whole thing. I feel like they started it, and now they just kind of have to commit to it. How do you erase that if we know that's
kill one of them?
Yeah, I guess that's true. Kill one of them. Yep.
I mean,
and I can completely see either of them dying.
Yeah, I don't know who I would prefer because I like Black Widow, but in the last movies she has fallen a little behind.
She's become a bit of an accessory, at times.
And
it's unfortunate because she was introduced as an accessory in such a huge way that was so important, right? When she first showed up in Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
That's she was originally I think she was serving as his personal assistant or something like that.
Yeah, they infiltrated her there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and so it would be nice to see her get her due a little bit and be focused on.
Yeah, but on the other hand, Bruce, not as the Hulk, he has this amazing development arc. I loved Bruce Banner in Infinity War, and he was just Bruce Banner.
Yeah. It's probably his best showing. I personally, so Planet Hulk is one of my favorite comic books of all time.
Haven't read.
So that was largely used for Ragnarok, and they took a lot out, but they largely used that, and I feel like that's the story that develops his character quite a lot, both as the Hulk, but they teach you about Bruce through the Hulk.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was part of what Ragnarok missed for me, whereas they taught us more about the Hulk and how he throws 3-year-old temper tantrums than they did about how does the Hulk feel about Bruce. We got very small moments of that.
Yeah, but that's the Hulk. I mean, when I met... Okay, that's not exactly true. I was going to say that when I met the Hulk in the comics, he was basically a child, but that's not true. And I am going to introduce one of the things you said about the Hulk, that the Banner might be trying to get his mind and Hulk's blurred together to make an intelligent Hulk that we have seen in the comics.
Yep, Professor Hulk.
Yeah. No, but Professor Hulk wasn't really Banner, right, in the end?
Yeah, no, he wasn't. You're right. Yeah, I think that was Amadeus Cho, wasn't it?
That far I don't know.
My bad.
But what I was going to say, that the first comic I ever read of Marvel was the first Secret Wars.
Okay.
And now that they have the rights to Fantastic Four and the X-Men, I think it's pretty possible that even Phase 4 or even Phase 5 may end with Infinity War, with Secret Wars.
I think that's a very good bet.
But it's also this development thing about the Secret Invasion.
Yeah, that could make sense, especially with the introduction of the Skrulls.
Yeah, so for those ones that don't know, Secret Invasion is a comic arc where the Skrulls from Captain Marvel infiltrate the Earth, and suddenly we find out a lot of people are Skrulls. So that's the sum up.
Yeah.
But and I don't know which arc I would prefer. Maybe Secret Wars, just because I am more emotionally attached to it.
See, and that's how I felt about Planet Hulk. It's why,
Yeah.
like, you know, I agree with you with a lot of the things you said about Ragnarok, but we all have our soft spots for
right.
the comic that we're endeared to, right?
Yeah, that's that's why I love Civil War, and I don't really dislike it as much as other people, because for me my soft spot is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So
that's I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
yeah. So that's for me that moment when I met that Peter Parker, and the moment I was already in love with that Peter Parker, and then he made a Star Wars joke.
Yeah, I know. They couldn't have made it any better, right?
I know.
I'm so happy. Every time I get to see Tom Holland's Peter Parker on camera, I'm a very, very happy fan. I grew up with the animated series in the 90s.
Yeah, 1994 or...
94? Yeah, I think 94, yeah.
I think 94 was the year I was born, but I still saw it, and I resaw it recently, I think a year ago or something, and I still love it.
Oh, it holds up fantastically. You can watch almost every season of that
without
picking an episode, yeah.
So, yeah, and that's why I don't dislike in Civil War that much, because Spider-Man is just amazing, so to speak.
And it was such a great debut appearance for the character to have him appear in the middle of this giant conflict amongst all these heroes we've come to know and love. Was such a great way to do it, and he still stood out over all of the heroes that we know and love.
I know.
Great, it was great.
So, going back a little to the Hulk stuff, in Secret Wars, the Hulk that was there was actually Banner Hulk.
Yeah. Yep.
And he was slowly starting to lose his mind, I think. I don't remember. And then
it's the two minds fighting basically to take control over one another.
So I think that's going to be interesting, and they already planted the seeds in Infinity War, whilst Bruce is trying to communicate with Hulk.
And he yells no at him over and over
Exactly,
again.
yeah.
Those are some of my favorite scenes in Infinity War.
Yeah. So I think that could be a pretty great arc. So if you want to break Bruce and Natasha's couple, you have to kill Natasha.
Yeah, true enough.
The
thing is we know she has a solo movie coming.
But it's going to be a prequel.
I was gonna say, there's no way they do a Black Widow movie and don't give us her origin, because her origin, and I mean, I don't know if you saw this, I think it was about a year ago, that Jennifer Lawrence was in a movie called Red Sparrow, and it was virtually Black Widow's origin just ripped off and put into another movie. I
haven't seen it. My sister has, and she basically said the same thing.
It's pretty bad. So like
it's bad.
I'm really hoping, so I'm really hoping that this Black Widow movie just kicks some serious ass, because there's, like we just said, that character deserves so much more than to be everybody's sidekick. Right?
And I am going to add to this that we are going to also, in that movie, we are going to see, or we should see, Hawkeye play a very big role. He's never going to get a solo movie. Never. Ever.
Never. No.
So, he kinda deserves that part there as well. If that makes sense.
Is there a Hawkeye series coming out on the Disney streaming service? Or no, it's Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Scarlet Witch and Vision, Loki. But now that you mention it, maybe Hawkeye was thrown in there sometime?
I'm curious. I'd like to know. Here, give me a second and I'll check it out.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to know, because if he hasn't gotten one already, I'd be shocked if they don't give him one.
And you know what I would really get into? A series, a TV show, a streaming show at Hawkeye and his daughter.
Yeah, training show. Okay, so here we go. From Variety on April 10th, 2019, Hawkeye series with Jeremy Renner in the works at Disney Plus.
Okay.
So who knows if that will actually be announced and come to fruition?
Yeah, because
but
you
it's
know that what in the works means in development, like they like to say in Collider Live or Jedi Council, they mention that concept a lot. That in development doesn't mean they have green light.
No, it's not even pre-production, right?
Yeah.
Like that's pre-production.
Yeah, like pitching ideas. Let's see if this could work. I think it.
Then we get the actor. Yep. It's all that type of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's get into details about the movie, or like trying to get. So you mentioned about. Okay, someone's gonna die.
Yeah, I think that's very fair.
Yeah, some of the original Avengers are going to die. So we already state that Black Widow may be an option.
Yeah.
I don't want Hawkeye to die.
But it's an option.
It's an option. Every single every single original Avenger is an option to die at this point.
Yeah, they are.
I mean,
I think the most likely is Cap, though. I keep coming back to Captain America. I just think it's the most likely.
If I have to choose between Captain America and Iron Man, I have to choose Cap as well. But I think it's going to be both.
Well, and see, I was just gonna say the same thing. I think they're gonna have to simultaneously sacrifice, whether it's themselves or something else. And I think that if it does end up being Iron Man, it's gonna be something. I mean, we've seen Tony fight with himself, about what is right, how he should behave. And I mean, go back to the first Avengers movie and him, being willing to sacrifice himself that early on in his heroic career to save the world.
And that's something that Captain already did.
Yeah, exactly. Cap's already done that. So they're two peas in the same pod, except Tony hasn't actually committed the act, the sacrificial act yet. It's the thought that's menacing him in his mind.
But here's the thing. I think the most likely end is going to be both. Sacrificing together and coming to terms during that.
At the same time?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. They gave me goosebumps, David.
Yeah. But if I have to choose one to sacrifice, I am going to say Cap because, Captain America in this time, it has nothing to live for.
No. The only thing that I can see him staying for is, if there is any chance that this time change causes someone to be around. We say he has nothing to live for. I mean, platonically, Bucky and Cap love each other more than probably any other relationship we've seen.
Yeah, it's true.
So, as much as he doesn't have anything to live for, he has someone to live for. And I agree. I think if his sacrifice comes, it will be because he knows the only person he's leaving behind is someone who's capable of taking care of themselves.
And because if it comes down to him and Tony, I think Tony is going to be the one willing to do it, but then Captain is going to stop him because Tony has Pepper, and I mean Pepper's pregnant.
Yeah, and Tony funds everything that the Avengers do. Without his bankroll, they wouldn't be able to operate.
Exactly. I mean, that's true. Yeah, but I don't think that's going to be a factor.
I agree. It's just one of those things that's more in the back of your mind, right?
But I think Captain is more like that because he said it himself when they talked in Age of Ultron. Yeah, when in Age of Ultron they talked about settling up, and having a family. He said that the guy who wanted that died in the ocean a long time ago.
Yeah.
So that's not.
At that point, though, he was also still serving his country.
True.
And, if we look at Cap, like he became nomad essentially for Infinity War. And one of my favorite things is in the first Avenger when Red Skull tells Cap that he's seen the future and there are no flags. There's a nice little bit of narrative symmetry in the fact that Cap has ripped the star off of his chest. So as much as he I don't think he's ever going to go back to being Captain America.
No.
I don't. That those values are there for him anymore.
I think he has the same values because he still fights for justice and truth and all of that, but now he's fighting for mankind in general.
Yeah, I agree. I think I meant more that he's not fighting for America.
Yeah.
After Civil War, after Infinity War, he's not fighting for America anymore. He's fighting for the world.
I mean, I'm Spanish, so you know.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm Canadian, so so Cap works for me.
Like Superman, didn't Superman like renounce to the American at some point?
Like that is Red Sun. It was just like the alternate timeline where he was born in like Soviet Russia.
No, but he said that he was no longer an American because he belonged to the world or something like that. That was Superman, I think.
I think you're right. I just can't remember the story.
Me neither, because I don't really read DC. But
I don't read a lot of DC. The only things I do are older, and I buy them in the big hardcover loot.
Yeah, but I think it even was a thing in the news.
When was that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, in the news here, you know.
Yep.
Okay, so I think it's going to be both of them. But if someone has to choose, it's going to be Cap.
Yeah, and I am wholeheartedly with you there. I agree with you. They're standing on the precipice. One of them has to make the sacrifice. Iron Man's the one willing, and that's why Cap doesn't let him go.
Yeah, and I mean, we have to make either Bucky or Falcon, leaning more towards Bucky, the new Captain America.
Yeah, I don't see Sam becoming Captain America in the movies. It just really wouldn't make sense. He's been made to be this kind of arrogant, brash fighter pilot, and that's so not what Captain America embodies.
And Bucky is now.
Yeah, Bucky very much is. You know, when T'Challa walks up to him and says the White Wolf has rested long enough, and that scene where he turns around, I'm like, okay, Bucky is back. It's not the Winter Soldier, it's Bucky.
Exactly.
It's James Buchanan Barnes back to, be an American soldier and do the right thing.
Exactly. And right now, that fits more as Captain America than Steve Rogers itself.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree.
All right, so now you mentioned here Red Skull. Yeah. So I really enjoyed him being in Infinity War, but I didn't look past that scene. But apparently you have a theory about that, so
I've just thought about it, and I don't know that it's so much a theory so much as a half-baked idea.
Yeah.
There's this idea of, when Red Skull's speaking, he implies that he's serving a sentence for, when the Space Stone sent him to Vormir, he's been there ever since. And, at this point, that's the better part of a century. And so my idea being, if he's served this sentence now that the Soul Stone has been taken, is he now free to do whatever he pleases? Is he essentially released from this sentence? Could we see Red Skull come back either in this movie or in a sequel to this film?
I would love to, because I think he's one of the best Marvel villains with more layers, because villains are one of the big Marvel problems right now.
Yeah, they're one and done a lot of the time, right?
They only have 4 good ones.
Yep.
Like Thanos, Loki, Killmonger, and Red Skull.
That's the 4 I would pick as well.
So,
I really like Vulture too, from Homecoming.
True. Yeah.
Vulture was very good. I loved the layers of that. With
I forgot, but he also seemed more like dispensable.
Yeah, he did. You're very right.
But
a lower villain.
But I think he's going to be back in Spider-Man 3. With with Sinister Six.
Yeah, and there's that tease at the end, right, where he walks past Gargan.
With the Scorpion, yeah. I love that. I love Sinister Six. It's one of my favorite supervillain groups.
Well, and it's so nice for us Spider-Man fans. After the Amazing Spider-Man 2 bombed, we were all kind of like, oh, we're never going to get to see it.
I like that movie.
I do too. It's really weird, man. I don't understand how.
I don't know.
Andrew Garfield is a very good Spider-Man. Like, out of all the Spider-Man, I have a hard time not putting him second or first. And that's a hard toss-up because I grew up with Tobey Maguire and I love Tom Holland.
The thing is, I think Tobey Maguire is a great Peter Parker, not such a great Spider-Man, and Andrew Garfield does the opposite.
That's exactly it. Whereas Tom Holland captures both sides perfectly.
Andrew Garfield is more based on the Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man. That's the first Spider-Man series I read.
Okay, yep.
So,
So
but
you're used to Uncle Ben with a ponytail and
it doesn't. I mean, it's not really Spider-Man.
No, it's not. I agree. I actually love Ultimate Spider-Man. It's one of my favorite runs.
Me too.
Yeah, but it's I agree. It's not the Spider-Man we know.
And I am all about Gwen Stacy, because
I love
in the Spider-Man story, I can stand Mary Jane. I can't.
Okay.
I think she's like, I don't want to swear, but I think she's like too bitchy.
Yeah, Matt, you beat me to it. I completely agree. It's kind of like why would any guy want to date a girl like this?
Yeah, I mean, because if I remember correctly, didn't she was with Harry while Peter was with Gwen, and she flirted and tried to flirt with Peter so hard, Harry fell on drugs.
Yeah.
So
it essentially ruined Harry's life, right? Like, and how he thought of himself. Yeah.
And she's basically a second dish for Peter Parker, because for me, he will have ended married with Gwen.
Well, and Gwen was the original number one.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the thing. Like Mary Jane didn't come around until I think like issue 14 or something, right?
No, he met them both at the same time. They both in college.
Okay.
They were both behind him or after him, and he made a choice.
Oh, you're talking Ultimate. Yeah.
No, not Ultimate, in the original ones.
Because in the original, Mary Jane's first appearance isn't until, I think it's issue 12 or 14, and she appears as like a shadow in the window. And at that point, Gwen's already part of the story.
Yeah, it's already part of the story, but they both coexist, because at that point, Peter is dating Betty Brandt, I think.
Yeah, Betty Ross. I almost...
Yeah.
I get you. I do the same thing with Marvel all the time, man.
I think at that point, Peter is dating Betty, and then when Betty goes with Ned Leeds, I think it's Spider-Man comics I have read a lot. So she goes with Ned, and Peter just starts like between Gwen and Mary Jane, and he chooses Gwen at that point.
Yeah. And I think that's the smart choice, because as a character, Gwen I find far more interesting. The only thing I will say is, have you played the Spider-Man game that came out last year?
Yes.
Mary Jane, that's a new version of that character that I'd be happy to see on film.
I know, but that's not Mary Jane.
I agree. It's totally not the character. It's a new character with the name Mary Jane.
And red hair.
Yeah.
Since when? And the same happens in the Tobey Maguire films. That's not Mary Jane.
No, it's not. No.
I mean, so
but I mean that's where we as comic fans, we have to find the line between what we allow ourselves to enjoy and how much do we find that we're not happy with. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't forgive those things if the content is good.
Same here, I'm more than happy to look past one or two things if the movie's great.
Exactly. Just give me a good story and I will dig into it.
Exactly. Like you said, like Civil War, we both could have done without Zemo, but it didn't really ruin the story for us. It may have taken away from it ever so slightly.
And as comic book readers, Civil War was an incredible event.
Oh yeah,
and the movie doesn't even scratch the surface of that.
It's funny. I almost wonder if one of the things they might do on Disney Plus is go back and like show what else is going on, because they're introducing all of these new characters, and if we're to assume that these people were around during Civil War, I mean, they would have had to sign or run.
I mean, the X-Men and the Fantastic Four are a key part of Civil War in the comics. That's heartbreaking, because it was heartbreaking a scene when Richards finds the letter from Sue telling him that she's leaving. And they are the first Marvel couple on comics, and they had been together, and they are still together at to date. That was like, wow.
See, and I love the Fantastic Four, so I am this whole move over. Well, so I love the version of the Fantastic Four that I know. You know, the books that I've chosen to read.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're one of those groups that, you know, you can kind of pass by a lot of their stories without losing a whole lot. But the one thing that I love, and you just mentioned it, is that Sue and Reed's relationship is the first. To me, it's one of the most important relationships comic books has ever had, and we've never seen that properly on screen.
Never.
Like, we've seen them try and fail really, really hard. Like, you know, all 4 times now, and I'd love to see that. And
aren't there only 3?
Well, no, there was the first one, I think, from the 90s, the really, really old one. Oh man, it's on YouTube. I'll send you a link after this.
Wow, yeah. You're not talking about the one Fox made?
I think I am. Yeah, not the ones from the early 2000s. Not the ones with like Jessica Alba and stuff like that.
No, okay. Wow, I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad. Yeah, but early in that time, didn't they make a Spider-Man, Captain America, Hulk, and a lot of those?
Yeah, so it's basically Fantastic Four. You know, one of these things that I've heard going around right now is that they've been talking to Emily Blunt and John Krasinski, who are an actual husband and wife, and they're both actors,
right?
And you know, they both fit the role physically, and as far as how they look, they fit the roles very well. And
I don't know the male actor you mentioned.
He's from. Have you ever seen the American version of The Office or A Quiet Place? He was the lead actor in A Quiet Place.
No.
He's in the Amazon Jack Ryan series and some stuff like that. He's not a huge actor. He's been more kind of around television and doing something like that. But they have such a natural chemistry on camera. They acted alongside each other in A Quiet Place, the horror film, and their chemistry was completely undeniable. And ever since then, I've really wanted to see them play Sue and Reed. Because I feel like to cast the right Sue and Reed, you need a real couple that's willing to feel those emotions.
And you can't try and develop the relationship again. You have to give us that already settled.
Already going, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't want to see the beginning of their relationship. I want them to be together and having been together for a long time.
And I don't want to see the origin story again.
No, I agree. I'm very done with the negative zone and all that kind of stuff. I'm done with that. I would love to see Doom play a role, you know, as a political figure as he does in the comics, but I don't know that we're going to get the Latveria thing.
I would love to see a good Doom.
I agree. Yeah.
Even though
the real Doom, you know, we've never gotten Dr. Doom how we've seen him in the comics.
Because in the comics, he's one of the most huge villains Marvel has. Going back to Secret Wars, he is the main villain.
Well, and he has the resources of a nation. Right?
Yeah.
It's why his fingers are in everything. And I love the character for that reason.
All right, so we are going to finish about Endgame with the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
If they want to use it, who is going to... That's a good question. I mean, the obvious 2 choices are Thor and Captain Marvel.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think for comic fans, the go-to would be Nebula. Because at the end of Gauntlet, Nebula wields it and undoes.
Oh, it does? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Nebula actually is the one who reverses those.
So that's why they kept her alive.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I really think the most likely 2, and I do agree, Thor is a really likely choice. But I honestly think the number 1 is probably Nebula, and the number 2 is probably Captain Marvel.
But wouldn't that make no sense? And I'm going to explain myself. Supposedly, to hold 1 Infinity Stone, you have to be incredibly powerful.
Yep.
And Star-Lord, Gamora, and all the Guardians have a hard time wielding 1. And I think Nebula is in the same level as Gamora.
I think the only difference is, remember that for every failure Nebula had, a part of her was replaced.
True.
Right? So most of her is not organic anymore. So it makes me wonder if what was she pieced together with? Is there any chance that maybe that's vibranium, or, you know, maybe even adamantium, or maybe we get some sort of nod that enables her? But I do agree, without that piece of knowledge that shows us how she can wield it, it's very unlikely. We do need that piece of knowledge for her to be able to do that.
Yeah.
If she just picked it up and reversed everything, I'd be kind of like throwing my hands up asking why.
I don't think they are going to... I think they are going to reverse it by going back in time. And they are going to use the gauntlet to go back in time.
Yeah, and I like your idea of them going all the way back to the the battle in New York.
Yeah.
I think that's a very, very good possibility that's where they end up.
And I think that's also a theory in the internet because they leaked stuff about the shooting, but that's probably misdirection. Or
see, and I haven't seen any of the leaked stuff at all, so I don't know what they're going
it's not
for.
leaked because they published it, so.
Oh, okay, they published it themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
If Captain Marvel was to pick up the gauntlet, how would that have to happen for you? Because see, is it because her power is imbued through an Infinity Stone?
Yeah, because we state that her powers are basically given by the Tesseract.
Yeah, by the Space Stone, yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Just makes sense for her to be able to wield it. And so does Thor at this point.
And it's a great way also to have Captain Marvel show up. And, maybe some people haven't seen her movie. And it's a great way for her to roll into Endgame with a big punch and have, if Captain Marvel ends up as the leader of the Avengers, what better way to lead into that?
Do you think Captain Marvel is going to end up being the leader?
I think there's a very good chance that she ends up because her character has natural leadership skills built in.
Yeah.
Right? Where, Captain America, he's got these wonderful leadership skills that Tony really never had. Tony has some, but they took him a long time to develop.
Right.
Whereas both Captain Marvel and Captain America, it's an intrinsic part of who they are.
I don't think Captain Marvel is going to stick around.
No?
Because she said it herself. There are a lot of planets around, and not all of them are lucky enough to have you guys.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe she helps them in the very beginning and then goes about her.
No, or until the end, and then she goes away to keep doing her Captain Marvel stuff around the universe.
I just feel like there's a very good possibility that she returns to Earth and ends up as the leader of the Avengers. And the way they show her power is having her be the one who wields the Infinity Gauntlet.
I'm going to say is I know. Is it true that in the comics is her the one to kill Thanos?
I believe so.
Yeah, I don't want to see that in the movies.
To be honest, I don't really need to see Thanos die.
Well, yeah, me neither.
I was I'll be honest, after Infinity War ended, when I walked out of the movie theater after my first viewing on opening night, I actually thought, oh my God, Thanos is gone. The gauntlet is fried on his hand.
Yeah.
I wonder if he is part of what just got snapped. And that was
wow,
and obviously that's not the case now. We know that. But it does make me wonder, what types of things have they built into this to make us believe, Captain Marvel's going to be the one who wields it? Or
right.
Thor, maybe it's someone we have no idea. Maybe we're going to get a total surprise and it'll be someone we don't expect that wields it. Star-Lord is also half celestial.
Yeah, but
he's essentially a god.
Yeah, but didn't he lose that power when the planet was destroyed?
When Ego was destroyed? I don't think so. Did they actually say that?
I think he did. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Wow, okay.
I'm not sure about that, but again, he's the one.
Throw that out the window, certainly.
No, but again, he's the one that carries most of the, most of the charge of the Power Stone, and he still has a hard time.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. That's right. That's only one stone, right?
Exactly.
But that being said, it's also not in a gauntlet to harness the power.
True.
Right?
I don't really know how the gauntlet works, but we have seen Thanos have a stone in his hand, and
from what I understand, it's supposed to be kind of like the thought behind it in development back in the day was that it's essentially like shining a magnifying glass, having the sun shine down. So it's essentially the idea of all of them powering through one beam.
Yeah.
Right? So it's essentially the idea of having one device be able to control 6 different types of power.
Right. But again, we have seen Thanos have 2, where all the Infinity Stones in his hand without the gauntlet to put them there.
Yep.
And not even flinch.
Right. Yeah, and he just held them and dropped them in with no problem.
Exactly.
Yep. And relished in the feeling that he got after too, right?
Yeah.
Whenever he dropped one, you could see that little bit of power hit his body. Right?
Exactly. So I don't know. I think it's going to be Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
But if if Thanos dies, I don't think it should be Captain Marvel, not how the events have happened. I think it should be Captain America and Iron Man. More Iron Man.
I agree. It should 100% be Tony. If anybody kills Thanos, I think it should be Tony.
Yeah.
Because that's symmetry, that brings that back around from the Battle of New York, like he says in Infinity War. You had Thanos in his mind since New York.
Exactly. Yeah, and yeah, that's my thoughts. My thoughts exactly. And I am going to finish this because we have been going for a while now.
Awesome.
Throwing a question: do you think that in this movie we are going to finally get Avengers Assemble?
I think we have to. I think
right?
There's no way we get this movie without actually hearing that line
from Captain America.
It would be heartbreaking for me as a fan of the comics and the movies. It would be heartbreaking for me to not get that line
because they have
one time from Cap.
They have been teasing it. They have been teasing it.
That's the biggest cliffhanger to the end of any movie. Man, oh my god! All the other movies, I remember sitting in the theater and I was like, "Oh my god, he's gonna."
Yeah.
And they cut back. I was like,
And it has to be Cap. It has to be Cap.
Yeah. It can't come from anybody else. It needs to be Cap. And if it comes right before that sacrifice, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
Because it gives us that, you get that little bit of elation from such a positive thing happening. And then we're right back into the darkness of two characters having to sacrifice something. Right?
And I love the idea of the ones being alive being the original Avengers.
I agree. I think there's something very poignant about having, everybody thinks the original Avengers are the ones who are going to go. How big of a swerve would it be if at the end of the movie, we're only missing one or we're missing none? And we've got, there is the chance. It's super unlikely, but very Marvel-like. It's the same reason I don't think, as much as I think there's a chance Nebula could be the one who wields the gauntlet,
right.
It diminishes my belief in that because they know that's the comic book storyline. And they're not just going to give it to people because people have already read that. Marvel's great job of taking these comic books and using them sparingly with pieces of other stories.
Yeah, because the snap was done amazingly, but not like in the comics.
No, not at all. Yeah, completely different. Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting them to do it at all. And I knew in the comics it happened. But that moment when it happened in the theater, the whole theater went silent.
I honestly thought when he said it, when Gamora was talking about it on the ship and she's like, all he has to do is snap his fingers. I was like, oh, that's the little Easter egg for us fans. That's what we're going to get. And then sure enough, the end of the movie, like you said, he snaps his fingers and the theater was dead quiet. You'd hear a pin.
And that silence you can feel. That moment,
it has an emotional weight.
That moment when you can hear the silence.
Yeah, and it's deafening in those moments too. And I hope that Endgame has a poignant moment for that, where every fan feels the culmination of 10 years of enjoyment of movies, of characters, of hard work and labor for all the people that have gone into making these movies for us.
Yeah. Well, Christian Harloff's already said it's really good, so I'm going to believe him. So
I saw that as well. Yeah, I trust most of those guys. If they say it's up and up, I believe them.
Me too. That's the thing. So I am going to go to see it, hoping that I am going to see a great culmination.
That's how I feel too, and I have no other expectations. I just want to see the great final chapter to this huge story. We may well never see something else like this last 10 years of MCU movie.
No.
Even now, going into these new phases, I think there's going to be, I hesitate to say this, but I don't think that we're going to see the same level of connectivity that we've seen over the last 10 years. Because I think they're working harder to make characters stand on their own. Like we just talked about Black Widow.
Yeah.
Right? And how do you make her anything other than an accessory unless you remove her from the team and do like a prequel movie?
Yeah.
Or if they choose to do a sequel, it's going to have to paint that origin.
I think they are going to go. When this is over, I think we are going to get the new Avengers.
Yeah.
Like Catherine, like Hawkeye 2. I meant.
Yep.
It's Catherine,
Yep.
right?
Kate Bishop.
Kate, yeah.
Yeah.
So Catherine, we are going to get Wanda. We are going to get Vision probably. I hope, because I.
So do you think we're gonna get normal Vision back, or do you think they're gonna have to rebuild Vision as Jarvis?
That's the thing in the comics. In the comics, that happens, right? In the comic, that happens. That they had to rebuild him as an android, and the whole relationship with Wanda goes away.
Yeah. So that's my worry. Is
I'm not ready to see that. I'm not ready.
I'm not either. Their relationship is one of the most intriguing things. They're this one person. They're both trying to find themselves.
Yeah.
Right. They're growing up as this kind of horrible person doing the bidding of anyone who would kind of help them get by. And now she's trying to help this android do the same thing while she's trying to do it herself. It's such a complicated relationship, and I can't wait to see it in the show.
For me, that was one of the most heartbreaking moments of the whole movie.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the end where Wanda is having to destroy Vision is so incredibly heartbreaking. It makes my wife cry every single time.
And the moment that after that Thanos negates it.
Yeah, completely. How horrible is that, right?
I mean, I can't even imagine what that has to feel like.
Well, and Quill goes through something really similar, right? Forced to pull the trigger on the woman he loves,
right?
And he gets.
Oh, right. I wasn't thinking about that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he's forced to do something. You can see this man tearing up, welling up. The tears are streaming down his face, and he pulls the trigger with his eyes closed and opens it. And instead of seeing the woman dead, it's bubbles.
Yeah.
Like there's something so twisted about that, and it's that having that twice in one movie, with him and Gamora, and then again with Scarlet Witch and Vision, was just heartbreaking. And again, like you said, I just want to see more of those relationships.
Exactly. So we are going to have probably. I don't think we are going to have Falcon.
See, so we know they're doing the Winter Soldier and Falcon series.
Yeah. Right. True.
So is that before or after, right?
Okay. I'm going to say Falcon, Bucky as Captain America. I like the idea of Captain Marvel being the leader. And then we are going to have Spider-Man too.
Yep.
So we are going to start building a new team.
For sure. Yeah, and I think War Machine's still going to be around too. Like, I think Rhodey will hang around.
I'm not a fan of that character.
Well, I agree. I'm actually not huge, but I think they need another character that can be, and I don't use this disparagingly, but like the lower tier character.
Right.
If they need somebody to kill off in a pinch, they have someone, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I think we are going to be done for today, because this was a fun show. It has been a fun show. I think we covered a lot of stuff that we theorized, and also giving information about the comics and talking about the comics as well, which I actually enjoyed a lot, that part. I don't know if you guys did the same, because you guys came here to talk about Endgame. Sorry. But it was fun. I hope I can have you back soon to talk about any other stuff, or Marvel, or after Endgame, whatever.
Maybe we should do something. Maybe you and I should look at Ultimate Spider-Man a little bit.
Right.
And we can do a follow-up on Endgame too.
Yeah. Ultimate Spider-Man sounds like a good idea, because it's one of my favorite series.
And you'd be surprised how many comic fans haven't read Ultimate Spider-Man. It's truly shocking.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I have no idea.
Surprising, man. Every time I go to the comic book store every week on Tuesdays, and it is surprising to me how many people have not read the biggest Spider-Man stories.
But that's not a thing anymore. Ultimate Spider-Man ended with Peter Parker's death, right?
Technically, yes. So like Peter Parker's Ultimate Spider-Man ended there, and then they introduced Ultimate Comics Spider-Man, which was Miles Morales.
Yeah. So, and then with the group of the Ultimates, was it?
Yep. So, and then it kind of keeps going on from there, and they just more Ultimate Comics, but
yeah, it's not the same.
No, it's not. You're right. The Ultimate Spider-Man is its own contained thing. Because
I tried to read Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Avengers.
Not for me.
It's not the same.
Because those went against the grain just because they thought that's what made Ultimate Spider-Man popular.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to
Awesome.
leave that here. Thank you for being here, man. I really appreciate it. Sorry, and it was fun. It was really fun. I hope we hit the jackpot in some of the things we said,
I hope so too.
and I hope to have you back soon. And
I'd
you
love to.
guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it's long, but that's how this goes. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and everything about you know this deal. And I'm going to say it again. I'm never going to be tired of saying this. We are starting to build up a fan league about the movie Trivia Schmodown. You have seen some videos about that on my channel. And if you guys want to just see it, you can follow the link in the description. And if you want to take part of it, the only thing you have to do is be a Patreon of the movie Trivia Schmodown at the $2 tier, and that will make you access to it. We are starting to do fun things, we have great plans, and it's going good, so please check it out. Just check it out.
Thank you very much for having me, David.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Thomas. So that's all. If you want to, make publicity of something you're doing, here's the moment.
You can find me again on Anchor at Ruminations Pod, and you can also find me on Twitter at Thomas Risslin and on Instagram at Risslin.
Yeah. So, the same. Follow me on Twitter. I will put the link in the description. I will see you guys next time. I don't know what the topic is going to be, but I'm going to try to give you guys some Harry Potter content. So, see you guys next time.